for the first 6-7 years, we were funded by UK Sports and Commonwealth Games Canada, and there was a time during our reclassification we lost quite a bit of international funding.
We came to a point whereby really finances were really hard, and we didn't know what to tell the kids when they were brand new. A day when we decided, you know what, honestly the best policy, we tell the kids, you know what, we don't have any money.
I think it was we used to have difficult years, and then especially when we're taking the kids on camp and we don't have all the required resources on time, and the kids thought we were lying to them. So that was actually very difficult to see that how the kids were excited to go, and how the excitement fall when we told them they couldn't go on that particular day because everything is not to go through, and they thought we were lying, and they couldn't, and they were like, yeah, we'll never trust you guys again because you guys lie to us. So that was very difficult on our part to disappoint the kids like that.
We made that decision. We had no money, we had no book venue, we didn't even have transport as well to get there. So we came to the center. Of course, as like the leader of the house, you tell kids what they want to hear. You tell them, we're waiting for the bus to come. So while we're sitting here waiting for the bus to come, there was no bus coming, we didn't have a book venue, we didn't have money for food. So we sat here. It was quite like one of the most emotional. So that was like one of those night times here at P.A.Y. Because when you sat here and the kids started blaming you for all sorts of things, I'm like, yeah, how do you say we're going to camp?
It's a low-income community. It's the lowest income community. Katutura in general, the greater Katutura is a low-income community in Windhoek, the capital city. So it's an urban setting. We have a lot of urban migration taking place. We have a whole spectrum of low-income community. We have people who've got parents who work as security guards or domestic workers or gardeners. We have people who do not work at all. We have people who have just come in from rural setting and have no real concept of city life and not really literate, don't speak English. And they all have children, they all have young children who come through to our program.
Well, I think we always, the one challenge that is well known is the economic empowerment agenda, which is basically to help young people to start their enterprises, to help young people to get economic opportunity. That is the one that everybody speaks about. But there are other dimensions that are equally as important. And one of them is the challenge of youth health and welfare.
There's some of the regular issues that we are aware of. I mean, there's hunger, there's overcrowding in homes, there's but I think the biggest thing, if you have to identify it, is that there is a general apathy, and that apathy cuts across and affects these students in ways you cannot always see. The apathy in their schools, and because they come from a community that's depressed through the poverty and the consequence of poverty, there is an apathy even from their homes. And so young people come to you, and although they are just that young, they are full of energy, they have dreams, they have desires, but they do not have a platform to see that these dreams can be met and that these desires can be met. They do not even have a sense of belief that it is possible. And they are frustrated, extremely frustrated. We've got a large group of adolescents that have been born with HIV. And it changes the teenage experience, in so many different ways.
There's a lot of work to be done around youth health issues. There's a crisis of depression amongst our young people. So many of them, because of challenges that they face in our country, become depressed, become withdrawn. As a result, we have the challenge of suicides amongst young people that we have. We have a crisis of young people who are just angry and as a result, we see that manifested in gender-based violence and in violence against each other. So we still have a lot of challenges to deal both with the emotional, psychological, and physical well-being of our young people. And that is a struggle we shouldn't forget, even when we talk about the economic struggle that young people are facing. We shouldn't neglect the emotional, physical, and intellectual well-being of our young people.
And that core frustration leads into so much of a society's ills that people would like to term as delinquent behavior, would like to, judge as, as evil practices. But you look at a 16-year-old child who's an orphan and living with an aunt, and nobody's really caring and taking care of them. And we need nurture as people. We need to be loved. We need to have that sense of belonging, and you don't have any of that. One other player that can be brought into the whole process of education, holistic development, I think it's the role of the community. And this community, as I said, it's the parents, it's the church groups, it's the shop owners, it's everybody else, that exists within the society. If that player, that tier as community would get involved for accountability, if they would get involved as volunteers, if they'd get involved as motivators, if we would all just get involved, I think education could look different, as a night and day different within 3 years.
Well, I think I noticed that sometimes they do struggle with resources. They have a lot of plans to do a lot of great things, but I think because of resources, it's not always possible. I also think that organizations like the National Youth Council and many others should be able to assist P.A.Y to be able to take more young people into the program so that we are able to maximize the impact. Because if we are able to make a difference in the lives of 20 or 30 young people a year, imagine if we could do that or replicate that same impact for 100 young people, not only in Windhoek but around the country. I think we'd have so much a better society if we were able to help organizations such as P.A.Y that are making an impact in the lives of our young people to be able to replicate their programs around the country.
I would say the biggest challenge would be getting the support from outside help, so volunteers. Getting enough volunteers is the biggest challenge. I would say, for the program is very well run. However, it would be great just to have a couple more volunteers on a regular basis. And we have some wonderful volunteers that come, once a week or twice a week, or even every day, and they're really fantastic, and they're a huge help. But really that's the biggest challenge, is just not having a constant stream of volunteers that kind of like.
The government of Namibia owes each and every Namibian child or youth a P.A.Y experience. That's what they owe to them.
If they support us to spread out to different regions, I think that would be our greatest achievement, if we can go to at least a few of our poorest regions in Namibia. I think that would make a big difference.
I'd love to see the community really support P.A.Y more and make more of a commitment to this program, because I think they're doing some amazing work here, but P.A.Y would definitely benefit from financial support, community support, people being more aware of what's going on here, because they're really trying hard to change these children's lives, and they're definitely succeeding in a lot of ways. So.
And I believe these are the programs that must be duplicated in all the corners of the country, because there is a reason, there is wisdom in the program, and I believe that more young people must be given an opportunity to be incorporated in programs like P.A.Y.
I'm really hoping that we are going to see government invest more and more resources in youth development programs, so that organizations like P.A.Y as well are able to be supported by public funds to be able to do some of the work that they do. We're very excited that hopefully by the end of this year we'll have the Youth Development Grant Fund in place so that youth organizations are able to access funding. that is really the one big hope. We're also hoping that as young people, we should be able to work much more closer together in achieving the different things that we want to do. I believe that there is a lot of opportunity in collaboration, and if more organizations work together the way that, for example, the National Youth Council has been working with P.A.Y, I think we can do more if we collaborate.
So look, if you think you are exaggerating in this documentary, my challenge to you is like, come spend a month in our shoes. Then you know that there is no exaggeration and no storytelling or anything. Spend a month, we don't take so long, it's not like a year, just spend a month or even a week with us and you see that we mean business.